Oh, hi. Welcome. Glad to have you. Welcome to another edition of VitO Rambles. We are past the first, I would say, boss, trying to get into hell proper to save our beloved Cillian. Good game. So that's enough of an intro. Trusty headphones, and we'll get right into it. Gotta have some coffee. In the last video, I was going through the journey, and at the end, I was saying that it wasn't so much an ideological shift, but I think the more I talked, the more I realized that it really was. I'm not sure if I recall this statement, and please forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but the way I. Oh, that scared me. There's two of them.
It's nearly over.
It is.
Too slow.
I have to say, this is fun. As much as I like Visage, I like a good action game. Oh, he's got shield now.
The gate won't open.
She can't get through.
Why
She's
not?
scared of the gate.
She can't.
Why?
She's only done one test.
Valravn, ancestor of the seers and master of ravens. He hunts his prey with his powers of illusion and feasts on their remains. Follow the path to Valravn and defeat him in battle to earn his mark. The gate to Helheim cannot be opened without it.
So with the school issuing the mandate, essentially they're saying they know best. Now I get it. Well, let me say the argument being they're doing this for the protection of others. They're doing it so whatever is going around doesn't spread. So that's the argument for it. My issue is one, data does not align with the reality that kids are heavily affected. So then with that, parents can choose if they desire to mask their kids. I think it is cruel to do so. I don't want to do it. So when the school says, hey, optional, bring a note, we did. Now they're saying, we don't really care, we're going to do it anyway. And it's kind of a small sign of what is to come. And that's where I want to talk more about today. This idea, or really more so reality, that
Illusion hides the path to Valravn. Don't trust your eyes. Find another way to see the truth.
when you're sending your kids to a
What's that? It's warm. It's a door. No, it's not. Push it. Push it. Push it.
sending your kids to this public school system facility,
He did it. He did it.
it's kind of like a facade that you are in total control. You're really not. And that's what we're seeing play out more and more. Very
It's
nice.
funny. We all want to see behind the veil, don't we? But once we do, we mostly just close our eyes again and pretend what we saw was never really there.
And so think about it. Like, You are taking your kids to a facility where the education is decided by ultimately the state, school board. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but ultimately the state is dictating what your children are learning. And let me just put a note. I am not stating
Senua
that
could close it.
anyone involved is necessarily evil or there are no good people. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that when it comes to your parental responsibility and what is happening in the public school system, to say that you are still in control of what your children are learning or what your child is learning is a facade. It's a fool's game because you're involved passively, to say the least. But at the end of the day, you are relinquishing your kids for 6 hours a day, 5 days a week,
This is
not just
space for seeing things differently. Because once you gaze into the relentless darkness, all that lurks within it can see you too.
not just to different subjects. It's not just that our kids are going to learn math, science, all of the above. It's also exposing them to different views apart from your own. And like, I want to raise my kids understanding those different views, but I have a desire for how I would like them to grow up. So I want them to get exposed to it, but first, she has to kind of be exposed to how we see the world,
They've surrounded you.
how we see truth, so that she can properly engage with those ideas. That being said, she's going into a world. She, he, they, my daughter, my son would be, my daughter in this case, is going into a world where we don't know the views of the teachers and even the students. And so she's being exposed and coming home as if that is truth because they have more time with her and they slowly can, and not that they all do, they slowly can.
He can read you.
Let me focus on this guy.
They've come for you. Defend yourself. He's gone.
Success. So then she comes home with possibly a contrarian belief, and the battle is that much harder to win. Again, as the father, I am responsible for how she grows up.
Allowing the ravens to break his magic seal.
Show me what you have seen, Truth. Look how much it's changed. It's all different.
Okay.
Something's shifted. Something's happened. Something's shifted.
And that's what we are seeing more and more every day. Now, thankfully, the stories that we're hearing from across the country has I cannot
Do you feel it too?
say that it's happened here yet where I live,
Crossing into another world that
but it's coming,
looks the same but
little by little.
feels different. An imposter world where the forest itself is watching.
Oh, baby. Okay.
Another game. Another game. You know what to do.
I know what to do.
To open. It's not safe. Don't listen to them.
To break the seal, align the ravens with the mark of Valravn. If you hear the song of Valravn, follow it, and as it leads you to be aware of his illusions. You can't always trust your eyes.
And it's interesting because the idea, so I hear a lot about parents attend school board meetings, parents be involved, and I find it strange, though I do not knock that idea, of course not. But I don't know, and maybe this is cynical to say, but sometimes I wonder what good does it ultimately do? Because at the end of the day, if the school board members are not aligned with your beliefs and values, is there real change? And I am not saying there's not. I'm speaking out of kind of a little bit of ignorance in the matter. My daughter hasn't been in school that long for me to really know. But to me, I've seen some meetings, and even this recent one in California with the teacher
We think of a shadow in the woods.
who was
A creature.
essentially indoctrinating his students.
If only it were that simple.
But in watching that, you had a room full of very angry parents. And at the end of that one, now I haven't seen if there's been any continuation or anything like that. But you had a room of angry parents. And busy talking. Should be focusing on the other one. I'm stuck in the corner. I'm stuck in the corner.
Do it. You're close.
Get up.
He's down. Die.
I will not die.
Finished.
Whew. Okay. But you had a group of angry parents, and at the end, the school board gets up and says, I think they left because they claimed they were scared.
Men say that Odin and his
So-
brothers killed Tyr, and that the world of men
It's like-
formed from his corpse. They made his bones into stone,
Listen to Druth.
earth, and his blood into the salt sea.
At the end of the day,
Like to leave everything.
what was really accomplished?
Home. Loved ones. To head deep into the wilds. Perhaps never to return. Senua does. Because when darkness speaks, it changes everything. Turning home into a foreign land and loved ones into strangers. exile makes sense when you realize that you were never really home in the first place.
What was really accomplished? And everything I say, again, I don't know why I feel like the need to say this, and I apologize if I keep saying it. I speak from my perspective and what is right for me and my family. That being said, it seems like school board meetings, though good for the parents to be involved, of course, but sometimes seems like a waste, because sooner or later the school is going to do what they think is right. And I put that in quotes. What they think is right.
The song. Valravn. Valravn's song. It's over here. It's over here. Is that? It's over there. No, it's here. There's two. Listen, focus. Listen. It's magic. It's magic.
The ravens.
The ravens.
They've gone.
They've gone.
No.
Half of them have gone. They've gone.
Some are still there.
But where? Some are still there.
Valravn's helping.
No. He's not helping.
It's a trick.
Quiet. I can't say it.
She did it. The ravens. They've all gone. No.
There's still three. There's three.
There's three.
Continuing, what happens when you are faced with a group who essentially dictates, here we go, what happens, and those people are just opposed to you, opposed to where you stand, what you think.
When it comes to the darkness, it's like it doesn't want to kill her. Yet, I'll gnaw at her, biding its time. Only when she is at her weakest will it strike to kill. Will she find Dillian before her time comes?
And there are exceptions. I've seen some stories where decisions were reversed, but I just believe, or I don't believe, that these people are afraid of you. They're not threatened by you. They do the threatening. They display their beliefs and criticize, condescend, belittle
Overcome Valravn.
anyone who thinks differently.
In his keep. I know you can do it, Senua. You have the sight.
We both see the darkness. We can fight it together.
And that is a struggle. That's a struggle that I don't want to contend with. I don't need to. I shouldn't have to fight a battle that I may win one here and there, but at the end of the day, I have to keep fighting. And I can step aside from that. I think that's what's best for us. And then the arguments for it always comes down to social structure, excuse me. That seems to be the go-to. Oh, what about friends? What about this? And in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, sure, but it's not like we're isolating her. We do still go out. She is involved in other activities. We do go to church. So she is interacting with other human beings, but in the settings that we deem appropriate. She's not out of our eyesight for hours at a time, and we are not sure what she's being exposed to. And I'm a child of public school education, and I think the good Lord that, I grew up well. I came up all right. But I think I'm an exception. And even then, I was exposed to things that my parents were not aware of. I was in sixth grade, definitely middle school, when I saw my first pornographic image. And it was a picture that a kid brought to school, and he just kind of showed it to me. He just flashed it in front of me and my friends too. It wasn't like it was just in band class. Like, we weren't in a room alone, or it was just in band class, and we had 5 minutes free time, and he just pulls it out and shows it. Like, I didn't ask, I didn't consent. He just did it.
Speak to me, Druth. Tell me a story.
Senua, listen. I will tell you the tale of a man called Findan. The Northmen captured Findan's sister, and his father sent him to pay for her release. But they took his gold, put him in chains, and held him for a day and a night without food or water. Then they released him. I don't know why. Upon his return, his father's enemies in Erin set fire to his home. His father burnt to death, and his brother was killed. But he escaped with sorrow in his heart. His father's enemies offered redress for his loss and invited him to a feast. It was at a hall near the sea. But when he went there, they betrayed him to the Northmen, who enslaved him and took him to hell. 6 years later, his slave masters landed on the shores of Orkney, burning all before them. And into that fire, Findan made his escape. What was Findan burnt away that day. But from the flames, a new man stepped forward, and Druth was born. Druth, the man that I am now. And though Findan never set eyes on his dear sister again, I, Druth, have found you, Senua.
I wish you could have seen my home before these dark times.
And so, that's just one example of the things that happened in middle school. I mean, and we're talking, I don't remember, 15 plus years ago. And those are the things I want to keep her from. I want to preserve her innocence. I want to focus on being a child. I was like, what's not catching?
Broken. The gate is open. Open.
This darkness. I know it from the wilds. It's coming back for me.
I'm still here. Are you too?
Yes.
Where are we? I remember. It didn't end well in the wilds. It never does. You think you can overcome the darkness, make sense of it. And once relief settles in, it strikes out of nowhere, throwing you helplessly back into the maelstrom, drowning the mind in fear, deeper, deeper, dragging you down so far into the void that maybe this time there is no coming back. But there, in the darkness,
Senua,
she remembered what he told her.
hear me. Reach out to me. Senua, take my iron mirror. Look into it, for it is a window into the underworld. Within, you will see the face of the darkness that you fear. And if you focus, like I have taught you to, you will also see that as much as the darkness has you trapped within its veil, it too is trapped within yours. Focus. Focus! Focus!
I see you. I see you now. You led me to the wilds. You trapped me there.
Boss fight. Oh, I already messed up. Oh, messing up a lot. Alright. Should probably get serious. Man, I suck.
Get up quick! She's injured. Don't give up. She finished him! Don't let them get behind you. Let them surround
Front button. Oh gosh. Oh.
Defend yourself. Nobody cares. There's blood. Watch out. She's so weak. They can see you're weak.
Ooh. I'm not gonna. I don't want to die. No.
They're winning.
Ah. Oh.
The mirror. The mirror. Focus is coming back.
Oh.
Focus. Focus now.
Running, running.
Stop them.
Ah.
The mirror. Focus is building. It's building. Focus. Focus. Remember your training. The mirror. Focus is coming back. Focus. It's the only
Oof. Ugh. Nah. So tense. My neck.
focus.
I never beat you in the wilds, did I? It was an illusion. But not this time!
The mark of Valravn, one of the keys to the gate to Helheim. Hold it in your mind's eye.
With every battle, the darkness grows stronger. Every victory bringing her closer to defeat. Unfair, isn't it? In those dark winter nights in the wilds, there were times when she considered letting go. If it weren't for Druth, a chance encounter in the wilds, she would not have heard his stories of the Northmen. And she would not have this chance to find Dillion's soul.
I'm coming. I still hear you.
with that, we will call it ended. Part 2, recording. Good to go. In the next video, we should be venturing into hell. So, looking forward to that. And with that, I am off to start the day. Usually record these early in the morning, so the day is very, very young. I can see the sun coming up. So that is where my mind is at. A lot of thoughts, I hope you don't get tired of me talking about this. If you do, sorry, but it is what is on my mind. So lots more to say. I'll continue in the next one. So I always have trouble here, but find me right here. Find Twitter. Hit me up. Follow me. Click the like button. It's what I need to get this channel to grow. Build that community. Let us venture forth and enjoy the day. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great time. And as always, be good.